What's going on, guys? Big Mike, D717 Outlaw back with you here, back out in the garage. Today is going to be a good mix of a lot of stuff. So a little bit of stuff to do on the truck, a little bit of stuff to do on the RD, a little bit to do on Dad's bike, and I think we're actually going to take a look too at the master cylinder rebuild for the pink bike. So I just want to give you guys, well, one, wish you guys, hope you had a very Merry Christmas. Hopefully you have a Happy New Year. I'm hoping that this video is out before New Year. But it's been crazy here for me with the channel, let alone dealing with the holidays. Unfortunately, a day after my last video, my dad had a stroke. And it's just been hectic, trying to make sure that he's in good health. Luckily he is. It was kind of scary. I can't stress this enough. To learn the symptoms of a stroke, and luckily my stepmom knew what was going on and was able to get my dad to the hospital within an hour of symptoms starting, and his surgery to remove his blood clot in his brain went successful. He went to the hospital with no feeling or sensitivity in his right side or very good mobility in his left side. The clot was in the right side of his brain. Luckily though, everything worked out very good and he was able to get home. It happened on a Friday. He was home by Tuesday night and everything went well. Honestly, I stayed at the hospital until almost 2 in the morning on the Friday when it happened, and 20 minutes after his surgery, it was like nothing ever happened. A little bit of speech impediment, like a little bit that you could tell that he was slurred. I think it could have been any of the medication or sedative during the surgery that might have had him a little out of it, but everything came back very, very fast. So I'm going to put this out there and say, I can't stress it enough to learn the signs and symptoms of a stroke, and hopefully you can save a loved one's life or even just somebody that happens to show the symptoms. But very grateful that my dad was able to enjoy the holidays with us and that it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But let's get on to some stuff here with the channel. So the thing that we're going to look at today, I pulled the carburetors off. We're going to go ahead, give them a good once over, make sure that the initial startup and everything is pretty much good to go. There's actually not that much that I have to order for this. The biggest thing I think that's going to take the most out of getting this is I just have to get a custom brake line. I thought that I might have had one laying around from one of the bikes, like maybe a clutch line or something small laying around the shop. Unfortunately, I don't. So we're going to get a custom brake line made. Then the next one, which that might be the headache video, is to go through this, because this is all the stuff for the wiring. We got to put together the switch controls for your handlebars, and then once those are together, we can start running wiring. And luckily, this bike is very, very simple. It's relatively plug and play here on the bike itself. And the only thing I really have to do for wiring is, unless I decide to switch to the OEM cluster, which I do have over there, I just have to wire in the pigtails to run our mini gauge. So once that's together, then we can hopefully get a first fire up. I'm not going to worry too much on the tank for the first fire up, because I have to get the welder completely set up to go ahead and weld the tank shut. And I also have to do the, you can see, I got to get rid of some of this crustiness, but that shouldn't be too bad. This thing got a really good chemical bath before, so a lot of this is just light surface rust. There's not really any big chunks laying around in there, but that should be easy enough. And yeah, went to pull these apart, and I pulled these apart a few minutes ago. There was you can kind of see a little bit of residue left, that he did not have an actual gasket, which understandable, because the gaskets are a little bit of a pain to find. But luckily I did find a company which we've already ordered from prior. HVC Cycles has everything that we need to put this thing back together. So we're going to go ahead and get a kit. Biggest thing here too, so I was double checking the floats, going over the arms, making sure that all the springs and stuff are still in. You can see everything still has life in it. Go ahead, pull the jets out and double check, but everything in here is looking pretty good. And these two, if I remember right, I don't think Payson rejetted this. Well, actually he might have, because he already did the reeds and everything. So this stuff might be relatively new. But yeah, go ahead and give this stuff here a pretty good little inspection if I really have to. We do have the ultrasonic cleaner that I could easily just drop these into. Give them a good clean. But my biggest thing here is just to make sure that they all look good, and then we can hopefully get them back on the bike, get some clamps on them, and they'll be ready to go. So that way all we need to do is get the wiring done on the bike, and we should be ready for our first startup of the RD, which I'm actually kind of stoked for. Because she's going to sound pretty good with that DG race exhaust. All right, guys, we're going to give a voiceover a shot here to get through this time lapse. So typically on this, when you're doing a carburetor, you're going to check the jets, you're going to check your main, you're going to check your pilot, and you're going to pull the arm off of your float to check the needle valve, which is underneath, and that's what typically allows the fuel to come into the bowl and fill the carburetor. So just go ahead and check those, make sure they're clear, make sure everything's moving right. There is a small spring inside the needle valve, or at least in this style of needle valve. So just make sure the spring's free moving. If you have to soak it in oil, soak it in oil. But first carb went by great. Second carb, we hit a little bit of roadblocks. You can see me messing with it pretty good here, and I'll show you guys what happened. It wasn't exactly what I expected, but check it out. Guys, this might be our first good setback. So on the other ones, so I pulled out the, I guess the float spring. I don't exactly know all the terminology for putting the carburetor and stuff, but we had one jet here, one jet here. So I went to pull that smaller jet. I believe that you can kind of see a little bit. So that's supposed to be a flathead. Oop. Okay, maybe LED is not the best way to do this. A flathead to pull that out. And you can see when I put the flathead in, it just tore the head of that completely apart. So I'm going to try to clean it out. It looks like the hole actually isn't clogged. So, all right, guys. Well, the next day, so what I ended up doing, that jet was completely stuck. You can see by some of the shavings. I drilled it out just a little bit. Unfortunately, my extractor tool was too big to fit in this hole. So I ran it in, and I think I got a little lucky. I might have to pull out just a little bit more, but I think we might have lucked out and got the jet out. I'm going to double check for a little bit of debris in there and see if anything else comes out. But I think we got lucky, so all we have to do is get a new jet, which a buddy of mine was actually just working on one of these bikes at his shop. He might have the jet we need. If not, we could up the jets on both carbs and go from there. But I think we might have got a little lucky. So see if I can get the other, check if there's any other pieces in there. But yeah, definitely think we lucked out today. Oh yeah, so as you can see, I think we got a win. That was the last little piece of the jet that was stuck in there. And then, like earlier, that one little piece came out. So that jet, thank God, I hit up my buddy Jordan over at Blue Mountain Motorsports. He actually told me he was working on a 74 RD, and we got lucky. He had some number 30 jets laying around. So we got 2 new jets. We're going to just put, I think I'm just going to put 2 new ones in both these carbs. That way they're both the same. Keep the other one for a spare. But I think we got pretty lucky with that. Got 2 fresh jets to go in here. I'm also going to, just because I always hate, I know that these don't take much to strip, especially if you accidentally over tighten them. So I got nice stainless hardware that I've had laying around. These are Allen head caps. I'm going to go ahead and use those. I wanted to use the bigger caps. I don't know if I have any samples to show you. Well, I guess I do. I was going to use cap screws or cap bolts like that, but these little Allen head ones should do the job, just so I have some fresh hardware on here for now. If not, I'll just use one, because technically that's all I need, because this was the oddball out replacement. So there's 7 good screws and then this one. So, but carburetors are almost done. Just need to get my gaskets. They're actually on the way. I placed that order last night. But yeah, we're making progress. Started tinkering the other day. I just got kind of bored. I was going through some of the boxes of parts over here. So the wiring, not going to worry about exactly, but I am going to start tearing into this. I do have to get the wiring diagram up so I know what goes to what, because I can kind of follow some of the color coding, because you can see where most of the wires, like all the coloring's still good. I can keep an eye on that, but I have to run, there's some extensions, there's full harness, there's a bunch of plugs. Just got to figure out all the routing so that way I can keep everything as clean as possible on the frame. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and actually put the exhaust on. I have a little bit of room here, so I figured might as well get the exhaust thrown on. It gets it out of the way so it's not stored over here in the corner, but also once the rest of the carburetor parts come in, we can mount the carbs, mount the air pod filters, get the throttle set up just right, get it tuned a little bit, and then hopefully we can do a first startup pretty soon. Actually, the other thing I have to do is I need to get new spark plug wire, because I tried getting the plugs to fit, and the boots, well, the wires with the boots seem a little short. Like I can't get the routing just right to where it actually connects. Plus the wire on this one's kind of coming out. I don't know if it's supposed to be doing that or not. So I might maybe build some new plug wires to go from here to the coils and kind of call it with that. But we're getting closer and closer to the first startup on this bike, so let's just dive into it, get this exhaust mounted, and yeah, see how she looks. Well, we got the left side on, started to do the right, and when I went to line up our holes here, we're hitting the brake. There's a spring return or a spring hookup here to go from here to here. Might have to do some relocating because it won't allow me to get the exhaust on. Just give me a minute and I'll see if I can get this figured out. All right, guys. A little bit of modification, which, let me pull this off again. All I did, just kind of notched that little tab there. So now, oh, come on. There we go. There we go. Everything clears that tab so I can put that spring for the brake retention or the brake retainer, whatever you want to call it. I can put that on and still have the exhaust. So I think we are good to go. All right, well, I actually did a little wipe down, so I had a trick. So how dull this was and dusty and stuff from sitting around. Took a microfiber with a little bit of PB blaster, wiped everything down. Yeah, there's some scuffs, but again, this is the Rat Rod RD, so I'm not really worried about that very much. But we got our springs on, everything's on. I know this probably isn't the best thing to do, but I think this is gonna sound pretty good when she's up and running finally. But that DG race exhaust is looking pretty good. I definitely see why the center stand can't be used, because the center stand's supposed to go right there and the expansion chambers are right there. So, but anyway, she's looking good. Add a couple more touches here today to finish out this video, and I think that'll be good to go. All right, guys, well, a couple little touches, just something that I forgot to do. There's your return spring for the brake, The exhaust is all mounted up, ready to go. I did use the stock mounts, but I don't believe this cushion is supposed to be where it is, but I figured, hey, it'll keep it from rattling a little bit. I went ahead, did the PB blaster trick on the tank. Actually, doesn't look half bad, but hopefully when I get this welded up, I can get the tank looking pretty good. Maybe put something down the center to cover up where that weld's gonna be. Another quick thing is I got these for Christmas from a buddy. Got fresh grips. All of our mounts and everything, or our hand controls, are good, ready to go. The headlight is on. I have to admit, it's starting to look more and more like a bike again. So, all right, guys. Well, we're gonna end it there. Getting more progress on the RD. Wasn't exactly the video that I planned. I was hoping to work on the bobber project, but I kind of thought about it a little bit too, since this video has been multiple days of me filming in between the holidays. I'm gonna work on that bike with my dad. After everything that happened in the last couple weeks, I want that to be me and him's project. I'm still gonna film it, but I want us to work on it. And then I'm more focused now too on getting the RD done, getting it off this stand, and then the shop's getting rearranged to make it more efficient to work out here. It is efficient as it is, but now that I want to do some light fabrication work and stuff like that, I have a little bit more ways of making it efficient, at least to me. So the RD is the top of the list. Hopefully in the next video, I'm going to figure out like an auxiliary fuel system because the tank isn't done yet. But we're also going to be hopefully finishing the wiring harness. I had a service manual out here somewhere. I cleaned a couple weeks ago and I can't seem to find the manual again. So I'm gonna be digging around, doing some research on that. But the wiring harness is gonna be next on the list. Hopefully once that's done, I can do the new plug wires, because I know that those need lengthened because I couldn't get them to fit. I tried running everything, or at least putting that together the other day, and the one wire looks like it's a little bit short and it just doesn't want to, if not, it's just really stiff from being off the bike for so long that it doesn't want to flex and go into the coil and actually make the coil to plug connection. But hopefully in the next video, wiring harness will be done, auxiliary fuel system will be figured out. The tank's not going to be done quite yet because I have something I want to try with that, and that's going to be a whole separate video for getting the tank ready. But hopefully we can get closer to starting it, because all the parts for the carburetor should be in. And then all I have to do is, once this thing's off the lift, before we do an initial ride, is I just need to get the front brake line, which shouldn't be that hard. I can probably just go to some of the guys I've done for the Busa lines and have a custom size made. So we're going to end it there. We're getting there, guys. That's all I can say. It's becoming to look more and more like a bike, so I'm very happy with how it's coming out. And yeah, not much more to go. Hopefully get this thing done very, very soon. But all right, guys, I will catch you guys in the next one. Remember, ride safe, ride smart, always wear a helmet. I will see you on the next one. As always, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys out on the next upload. Happy New Year, and have a good one this year.